Picture this. A woman gives birth in a small Nigerian village. The family gathers round excitedly to welcome the new baby, but instead of, "Oh my god, it's a girl," or "Oh my god, it's a boy," you get silence, dead silence. You might be wondering why. The baby has very light skin, like almost white skin. The hair is unusual, the eyes are unusual, and in that moment, the joy comes to fear. Welcome to another episode of Nigeria Untold, because history isn't sunshine and jollof. On today's episode, we are talking about the killing of albino children. In pre-colonial times, people saw albino children as curses instead of blessings, bad omens. Oh, and there were many theories for this. Some says the children were not fully human. Another claim that the mother must have slept with a spirit. Like, ma, sir, the woman is in pain of childbirth and you are here writing fan fiction about ghosts? Please, go for therapy. But superstition was power, and power was life or death. So what did people do? Some killed the child immediately after birth, and others abandoned the child in forest, because the belief was that if the child is allowed to live, tragedy will follow. It wasn't just about fear. It was protecting the family name, the community, the lineage. In some places, even allowing the child to live is considered inviting the wrath of the gods. And here is where it gets dark. Across Africa and in Nigeria, albinos weren't just feared, they were haunted, because the witch doctors claimed that their body part had magical powers. Want to be rich? Want your political career to take off? Want your shop to sell out every day? Bring me some albino bones. Yes, albino body parts became business. People paid money to harvest their skin, their hair, their bones, even their blood, all for ritual promising wealth and power. People were out here treating human body parts like ingredients. Yeah, let that sink in. They were treating the body parts like ingredients. One fresh albino finger guaranteed to double your profit. Then colonialism showed up. Because of course, colonialism always has to make a cameo. When Europeans came into Nigeria, the myth evolved, because suddenly they were proof that African women were sleeping with white men. And you might be wondering, what of science? What of genetics? What of melanin? Nope, people ignored it all. But to be fair, we were more superstitious than educated then. And this made the stigma even worse, because families with albino kids were shamed, bullied, and sometimes even accused of infidelity. Even if an albino child survives death after birth or ritual killing, society makes sure that they live a different kind of death, which is the social death. Kids with albinism were bullied with names like Afin, meaning peeled person in Yoruba, and Onyocha, meaning white ghost in Igbo language. Teachers thought they were too stupid, employers refused to hire them, girls were told you will never marry, and boys were told you will never succeed. Imagine being a kid already suffering from sunburn because melanin decided to say no, and then society decides to pile trauma on top as if it's free seasoning. And you would think this will reduce since we're in 2026, right? Nope, you guessed wrong. Sadly, in parts of Africa like Tanzania and Malawi, albino killing still happen. In Nigeria, ritual killing is rarer, but discrimination is very alive. Some families still hide albino children, and some families will even allow their children to stay with them. And around election season, reports often spike because politicians desperate for power still run to ritualists for power. And guess whose life is at risk again? Albinos. But here is the light in all this darkness. Organizations like the Albinos Foundation and activists are pushing and fighting hard. They're pushing for awareness, law, and education. Their campaigns now teaching people that albinism is just genetic. It's not a cause. It's not witchcraft. Your body just does not produce melanin. That is it. And slowly, the myths are breaking, but it's a fight that is not over yet. So, what do we learn from this episode of Nigeria Untold? Number one, humans really need to stop being scared of what they don't understand. Number two, superstition plus desperation equals danger. Number three, being different should never ever be a death sentence. So if you ever hear someone mocking or shaming a kid with albinism, shut it down, because the only cause here is ignorance. And that, my friend, is the history of the killing of albino children in Nigeria. Creepy, but also important to talk about. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this episode of Nigeria Untold, because history isn't always sunshine and jello. Please like and subscribe. Stay curious, stay kind. See you in the next episode. Bye bye.